We can put a man on the fucking moon, and that's the voice they use for this, that Zoom uses for this.
It gets me all the new intro. It's like I get off my game as soon as that comes up and I got to hit buttons on the screen again. It's like, continue.
It sounds like you're in a bad mall. This escalator is broken down.
Oh, God. All right, here we go, boys. Welcome, everybody, to the Fall Line with Chaos and Company. I'm Dave Capron. I'm here with my co-host and co-creator, Angelo Ross, in his new office there, Mr. Master Coach. And we have an awesome guest today. We have Billy Shreve, one of our Ed staff members. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see in the background, we're going to be talking today about rollerblade and some inline skating. How's it going, Billy?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on the show. Glad to be here.
We're happy to have you. Angelo, how's it going this morning?
Real good. A little skiing yesterday and the day before. A big snow.
So did you work on Chris Erickson's stem steps? He said he needed some work on those.
Chris did hop turns.
Hop turns?
He did like 12 of them in a row.
Now, did you do them in the steep part of big snow? Or?
Yeah, on the black.
Now, I want to know which one of you went off one of the boxes first. Who rode the box?
I did.
You did? Did Chris try to box?
I also straddled the tire feature and rode right beside the rainbow rail.
Nice.
You straddled the tire feature?
Shredding the gnar.
Oh, man. Okay.
What's that, Billy?
Is that on video? You straddling the tire feature?
Probably. There's all kinds of stuff on video I didn't know was on video. I'm getting critiqued on the way home from some Facebook post.
We just can't help ourselves. But hey, we got to get to some rollerblade stuff, and we have Billy here because Billy's been on Rollerblades and he's been working with Rollerblade for a while, and that's kind of our first thing. It's Billy, how long have you been on inline skates and Rollerblade, and what's kind of your role with those guys?
Sure. I started rollerblading back in the 90s, I think, when everyone else started, and didn't relate it to skiing at all. So, after I got my level 3, I got my mountain, Stan Wilkes, who you all know, tried out for DCL and said, hey, you have your level 3, you should go for DCL. And I did, and, didn't do as well as Stan. So, I kept trying, and after 2 years, I didn't make it. And, I started doing the math and said, hey, if I don't do something in the summer, I'm never going to make it, because I'm on skis about 15 days a year teaching, and maybe if I'm lucky, 30 days a year. And all the other guys are 5 days a week for 5 months, and so I got to get better. So I started this skate to ski program. I broke out my whole 1990s rollerblades, found some pavement. They were building a bridge in my area, and started going downhill and swerving around the dotted lines, the passing lines. And talking with Rollerblade, developing the program, and now I'm one of the founders of the Skate to Ski program, and I'm an ambassador for Rollerblade and liaison to PSIA.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've seen some of those videos on your YouTube site, and folks go jump on those. Who was it? Chris Erickson asked me the other day, how does he get to know where to go with all those roads, and there's no cars there with 8 lanes?
Yeah, if you're around DC, we build roads all the time. It takes the federal government, months to approve them after they're built. So good rollerblading around here.
Yeah. Angela and I got to come visit. We got to keep in touch going, hey, we want some of those roads instead of these back roads, kind of like, it's like single track pavement around my way. And it's like, oh boy, cars coming quick, dive into the grass.
Oh yeah.
There are probably still no skateboarding signs up all over the place, right?
Absolutely.
Everywhere you go, first thing they put up, we're going to build this road. Quick, somebody put the no skateboarding signs up.
Here you go, Angelo. I'll one up you there. I built a skate park with private money in a county park, and they copied some generic signs for skate parks, and the skateboard sign at the park says no rollerblading.
Sweet karma. And I've seen pictures of the park. I haven't been to the park. I've seen pictures. It's beautiful, and yeah, you did a great job with that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So the skate to ski program with Rollerblade that you're working with those guys, is that a good avenue, the best avenue that people could go and try it before they went out and got rollerblades, or should they get them before they go to it if they can?
Yeah. So the great thing about the Skate to Ski program is, lots of opportunities. So Rollerblade, let's see if this works. Yeah. See that demo van in the back? That's a van that Rollerblade has. There we go. And where that back door is open, it rolls out. It has 3 sets of skates on both sides. So about 50, 60 pairs of skates. And what we do is we'll go to a place like this photo that I'm in right now is at Camelback. So we had a 2-day event there. We bring the van, and what we do is we have a sign-up sheet. And we say, okay, are you male or female? What's your shoe size? And then we bring skates for you. If you want, you can order skates online before the event, and then we'll teach you how to use them at the event. So you can order them before or at the event, try them out, whatever you want to do. But it's a great introduction. The other thing you'll see kind of down there in the bottom, if this comes in, is, and it's not, but anyway, get out of the way. So those little baskets there, that's all the equipment, all the safety equipment. So they bring the safety equipment, the skates, everything you need to get started. So you can buy skates before the event, during the event, or after the event, whatever works best for you.
Cool. And the safety equipment, I have to tell you, when I started on them, years ago, like you did in the 90s when we were getting on them, and the wrist guards and the knee pads and elbow pads and helmet are a must. I'm not a guy who just goes helmet, man. The wrist guards especially. Yeah.
And, the other thing that if people are really worried about getting injured, you fall on your butt sometimes. We have guys that wear hockey pants.
Yeah.
And those things are the best because they have the plastic tail protector on your tailbone. So, you can fall and, you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
So I think Angelo has like a turtle or a panda or something he wears on his butt. One of those foam ones.
I would wear that turtle butt pad. I don't care who you are. When you see that, that's rad.
That's rad.
Yeah. And companies like Burton, they make a good pair of padded shorts, with the plastic protection, which is what you need for the tailbone. So, wear the protection. And when you're starting out, start in your house, one skate at a time, walking on carpet, and get used to the feeling. Do that a couple different times, different days before you ever go outside. When you go outside, start on the grass and repeat, and make sure you're on something flat, like a tennis court or something like that, because it's amazing how little amount of pitch can get you going really, really fast. Yeah. But that's the fun part after you get used to it.
Yeah, definitely. So how can folks, I know they can go to the website, and I think that the Rollerblade website, and I think there's some schedule up there, some events. Is that the only place, or is the detailed schedule up there on the Rollerblade site of the Skate to Ski program this year?
Yeah. So, one of the things we did is we started a Rollerblade Skate to Ski Facebook page. So I skate with a group of 10 to 20 folks every Saturday and Sunday. We do skate to ski stuff, which is, downhill, basically skiing. We do it in Frederick, and I post when we're having that, what time, and the location, all those things. And that Facebook page, Rollerblade Skate to Ski, is the best way to keep up with events. Okay. On the Rollerblade website, they will have events. But right now, Rollerblade is owned by an Italian group, and the Italians were hit pretty hard by COVID. So at this point, Rollerblade hasn't started doing events again. So we have lots of stuff kind of penciled in, but nothing firm yet. We want to do events in North Carolina and get those folks down there, like Asheville, down at Beach. Coming up further north, we'd like to stop in West Virginia at Snowshoe. Their race team's interested. of course, do an event in DC, Frederick, and then Camelback, maybe Seven Springs. And we've done events at Round Top before, and then, further up north. So if you're interested in doing an event, contact me through the Rollerblade Skate to Ski program, or, my email, Billy21701, which is my zip code, at gmail.com. So we'll put you on the schedule. We'll get you in there sometime, but right now Rollerblade is still shut down. So no events.
Yeah, because I usually do, when I was out rollerblading, I'm going to get out there again as soon as I get my new skates. Doing a lot of back routes, and it's hard to do an event there. So it's like we've been searching up here, looking for, in New Hampshire, Vermont, just looking for pavement, the parking lot of a ski area or something like that. And it's hard up here. We've got all dirt parking lots, man.
Yeah, it is hard. And, we skate down here. We're fortunate. We have a lot of industrial parks and park and rides. So we skate mainly in a park and ride. We have a section of Interstate 70 that was shut down that we can skate on. And, various places they're blacktopping that haven't been opened yet. So we're very lucky. Church parking lots are good. School parking lots are probably the best. Everyone has schools.
Hospital parking lots are terrific.
What's that?
Hospital parking lots are great. Just right on site.
Oh, yeah.
If you need it.
Parking decks. If you go to the top of a parking deck and you can, get into a little section of it where there's no cars, it's good too.
Yeah. And I think it's important for folks, if they do it on their own and get blades, that they do. You had said they'd be doing it on something flat. I think they'll be surprised when they get on rollerblades, if they've never done it before, how fast they can get going on something pretty flat. Think of their beginners on snow, and you can get some momentum. Just skate to get some momentum. You want to start making some turns, but get something flat, parking lot.
Yeah, and I wrote an article for 32 Degrees for all you ski instructors out there. It was in the October issue or the fall issue of 2020. And it talks about how to get started skating. And, like I said, indoor on the carpet, when you go outside on the grass, and then start like in a tennis court or like in a picnic pavilion between picnic tables. So you can kind of hang on to stuff. On the tennis court, you can hang on to the net or the fence. But yeah, it's a very small center of balance. It's 5 times shorter than your skis, so there's no help there with balance. You need to be in the middle of that thing or you're going down. Skate IA has some great videos on how to start moving around on skates. But the thing to remember with the Skate to Ski program, it's doing ski maneuvers and ski tasks or ski assessment activities going downhill. Rollerblades great for distance and staying in shape. But, if you want to get better at skiing, you have to put them on a pitch and go downhill and make turns.
And it's amazing. It does force you. I mean, people I know, our ski folks, are going to start thinking about the fundamentals, and it highlights a couple of them pretty harshly. You talk about that forehand balance. I mean,
oh, yeah.
The wheels are just underneath your foot. There's not a lot of leverage fore and aft. And you've got to be in tune to the center of that foot.
Absolutely. And, you can even do like wedge turns on rollerblades. In fact, most people, when you see them, they could be really good skiers, but when they get on rollerblades, they're doing more like A-framey kind of stuff because it's tough to get that inside leg turning over and steering. So you ski about 5 to 10 times better than you actually rollerblade. But if you rollerblade, when you get on skis, you will be a better skier for sure.
For me, it's like
5 times better.
At least, man. Depending on where you start.
My rollerblade skill will be in the negatives. How's that work?
It's only up from there, Angelo. Only up.
I guess that's one way to look at it. I almost just fell off my big ball chair that I'm sitting on rollerblades. Oh my God.
Yeah, don't try that with rollerblades.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thinking about the A-frame, it's, for me, when I was on my inline skates back in the 90s, it was like, 4-aft was there and I knew it, man. You had to right away when you stepped on them. But the lateral part, inclination, angulation, you tend to go to that A-frame right away when you first start going down a hill because it's like, I don't want to move too far to the inside and I don't want to tip that inside leg. People almost do that automatic just when they first start getting on them. I thought, I know I did. And that was my wedge. And I was literally wedging some of the hills we went down.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. You do automatically go to that, and you understand that foot to foot stuff. In fact, when I teach people, I tell them to spread their legs out further, like cowboy stance kind of thing. And then just stand still, like on the grass, and go foot to foot, just to feel each leg bending and extending. Yeah, you can feel all the fundamentals except the ski snow contact, but you definitely know the asphalt. And when you start going fast, you start to learn some NASCAR turns. You know how they say the track gets a little slick? Yeah. Well, if it gets too hot, thing you've been doing for 2 hours suddenly becomes really slippery because it's too hot now and the wheels are not gripping. So, yeah, you learn all kinds of stuff.
That's a little uncomfortable. I can handle my skis slipping a little bit, but I know when I was on my inline skates, when they start slipping, I got a little more nervous than my skis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man.
Because you get on that cold pavement and it's like there's tons of grip. It's like you can't get that skate to go sideways. And then when it starts going sideways, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, and that's really interesting you bring up that point, because different surfaces have different grip. If you try to skate like a woods trail, it has some moss on it. So if there's a little bit of water, it's worse than ice, with rollerblades. So it's, you can't get any grip. Some pavement, it gets wet, it gets slippery. Some pavement, it gets wet, it doesn't get slippery at all. Like the surface, traction doesn't change. So, explore different places, find out what works, and, what works best for you.
Can you talk a little bit about the technology? Like, because this conversation's like going to lead into like wheel hardness, like durometer and how and what you select for different tactics that you're doing on the skates, so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not go into wheel hardness. Basically, if you're doing marathons, you want to go fast, you get a harder wheel and a bigger wheel, right? But the way I look at rollerblading and relate it to skiing is you want like the model skate that I use for general skating is called the Twister. And it has a short, truck front to back. So it's about 243 millimeters, 80 millimeter wheel. So small wheel is what you want. And the small wheel will have a small truck because the wheels are spaced out, right? So small wheel is like a slalom ski. And that's what most people want, like the RB80 or the Twister to start out. That's going to give you the smallest turn radius. And, when you're skating, you're not on hills. Think about how wide a ski trail is. So, you're skating on your driveway or a bike path that's 5 feet wide. You're going to be making small turns. So small wheels. The Maxim 90 is kind of the intermediate, or like the GS. So 90 millimeter wheels like a GS. And then, and that's like the overall, if you're going to do some distance stuff, you're going to do some skate to ski, you have some rough pavement that you want to roll over, a bigger wheel's better. So the Maxim 90 is like a good intermediate wheel size if you're going to do all kinds of things. And then you have like the 3-wheel skate. Let me see what we got here. Like the 3-wheel, and it's 110, right? Like the one on my left, that's a huge wheel versus the one on the right. The red one's 80 millimeters. So the big wheel, the 110, is like riding like 120 millimeter wide powder ski, right? You have to have real strong ankles to stay over that big wheel. And as soon as you get it on edge, you better have real strong ankles to keep it aligned with your lower leg. So, so the best skate is an 80 millimeter wheel for general skate ski stuff. 90 if you're going to do distance, 90 millimeter wheel if you're going to do distance and skate to ski. And if you're going to do, really big distance marathon stuff like that, 110 millimeter 3-wheel skate or bigger, something like that.
Oh, look at that shot.
In this picture, I have 100 millimeter 4-wheel setup. See how long that is? So that's more of like a downhill setup. And then the guy on the other side in the blue shirt, gray pants, he has a black wheel set up. That's an 80 millimeter wheel. So see how much longer just 80 to 100 millimeter, how much bigger that skate truck is. It's huge. So yeah, 80 millimeter, 90 millimeter would be my second choice. And 110 is way too big for most people.
That's cool. Yeah. So do they bring mostly the 80 millimeter ones to your skate to ski in the van, or is there a chance to try the different ones?
80 and 90. Yeah, when we come down, 80 and 90. And they have a good stock. They keep it fresh. So yeah, it's just a great program. And, something else we'll do. So Rollerblade has one van. It's really cool. It has a TV inside. You can do video analysis, figure out what size poles Angelo should have, all that kind of stuff.
Adjustable.
But the other thing they do is, so in the winter, they take it to the south, right? Florida, Atlanta, places like that. So when it comes back in May, generally, and it's not even back yet, we're getting real late here, but on the road, so we're coming up from Atlanta and, we'll stop. If you have a favorite ski shop and you can do like a pro night and we can skate in the parking lot. So you can try skates on, get the kind of wheel size, set up some cones. And as Dave was saying earlier, you can actually, just by skating, get enough momentum to make 10, 15, 20 turns around a set of cones just on the flats. So you don't need a perfect setup. You just need a setup and you just need to start doing it because it will help your balance, will help your skiing.
Yeah. So for you, what's, because we all have our, this is what it did the most for me. And it'll probably be different for different folks. Like this fundamental, I improved the most for you when you were thinking about this, because you were talking about this, when you didn't make dev team or the ed staff there, the first time you needed to get more time during the summer. What was the biggest change for you?
I will say I worked on what I focused on and what it became is two different things. So what I focused on was I want my legs to turn separate from my upper body. Okay. And so really that's what I wanted. And I figured out that was happening a little bit, but to really get there, I had to stretch, right? You have to do yoga. Your legs either naturally turn that much or they don't. And if they don't, you got to stretch them out and see what your physical limitations are. So that was my number one goal. And it happened a little bit, but not great. So I had to add some off snow stuff to do it. But through rollerblading, because the great thing about rollerblading, you can make 50 turns in a parking lot with 20 spaces, right? So I set up a cones. I take my iPhone out. I put it on a tripod. I start running it. And then I can watch myself. So I get instant feedback every run I do. And then I can say, wow, man, I'm not turning my legs very much. I need to turn them more. So I'm really cranking it and they're just not there. I'm like, I'm not flexible enough, So that's one of the things I discovered is how easy it is to do movement analysis. And as we do further events, I'd like to do more movement analysis because you can coach someone and, see right away if they're improving. And, when someone's coming down the hill, you see, 4, 6, 8 turns really well and some general body description as they're getting closer and, really further away. But in rollerblading, you can really see what's happening up close in person and you don't have to worry about the cold for video. The other thing I learned by accident is, okay, now you have all these people coming to join you. Because I started out as just me for like a year. And I said, okay, this rollerblade thing's working. Let me talk to Rollerblade. And so talk to them. And they said, yeah, we'll support you. And they started giving me some stuff and banners and things like that. And then I brought someone else on and it was kind of coaching him. Well, you never stop talking about skiing, right? So you're coaching and teaching year round and you never lose it. So you never have a first day on snow, either from a professional knowledge and student interaction perspective or from a skating perspective. Like my feet used to cramp up like for the first 3 days. You don't have that anymore. I use my same footbeds in my rollerblades I do in my ski boots. So, rollerblading will keep you in touch with your pro knowledge, your movement analysis, and your actual skiing movements. So it's really a good thing for me. And I wouldn't be where I am today without it. And, I've just grown so much by doing the rollerblade in the summer. I'm probably coaching more in the summer than I do in the winter. Our lessons at Whitetail were an hour and a half, and I'm coaching 3 hours every Saturday, from 9 to 12. So in a half day, I've done as much coaching as I did in a full day during the ski season. And I rollerblade 2 or 3 times a week. So it's definitely the time on your feet, makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So did your feet cramp yesterday, Angelo, skiing?
Nope.
That's good.
Nope.
Erickson didn't say his feet cramped, but he said they weren't as comfortable as in the flip-flops.
And I believe that. Billy, we had Troy Walsh on last episode and Lipton last year. And when you were talking about what the skating did for you, I was reminded of some things those guys said. I was really impressed by Troy's knowledge of himself, Troy's ability to do what he needs, know what he needs, and then do it is, I think, one of the reasons he made the national team. And it sounds like skating gives you that, some of that insight, kinesthetically, but also just, what you needed beyond ski hill stuff to improve the stretching that jumped out to you. Sounds like it didn't jump out when you were skiing, but it did on rollerblades. And that's terrific. And Eric talked about self-coaching. And now you've got this other insight, this added layer. And it just really sounds like a winner.
Oh, absolutely. And did Troy talk about his rollerblading?
He's been on. I think it was mentioned that he's bladed, but I don't think he's been on it a lot. He was
didn't
talking
go
about
into it.
General.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Troy, episode 3.
Troy, yeah. When you talk to him about it, so I know one of the things is, you talk about guys that have rollerbladed and become really good. Troy's one of them. Yeah. I mean, Troy told me we had at Pro Jam like 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, 2 years ago. Some of the guys up north wanted to get into rollerblading, and have some events and things like that. So I was talking with Steve Cook because he's a big rollerblader, and Nancy, both of them, and they're doing some events in the north. They're working on a certification program for us in the east, and hopefully we can get there. But so I have this meeting with Steve Cook and Terry Barber. They rollerblade together, and they say, "Hey, do you mind if we bring Troy Walsh?" I'm like, "Sure." And I didn't really know Troy. And so we're sitting there waiting for the rollerblade folks. And he said, "Yeah, man, I used rollerblades to get where I am." So it was really eye-opening to me, wow, these guys, who are really, really good that, everyone looks up to, they use rollerblades. And then, people start coming out of the woodwork. So national team members this year, Troy Walsh and Stephen Heffleben, both of those guys skated. World Cup racers, Michaela Schifrin. Wendy Holdner did a video just yesterday. She's a great World Cup skier, and she's on a pump track, and that's on the Rollerblade Skate to Ski site. You can go see that. Gold medalist and national team winner Deb Armstrong. She did a video on her YouTube channel with rollerblades, and she coaches some kids out there in Steamboat. She's on rollerblades. And around here, Matt and Jeb, Terry Barber, Steve and Nancy Cook, and Dave Capron. So lots of good folks on rollerblades. If you're in the Mid-Atlantic, you got to do it year round. I mean, there's no question. If you want to get level 3, unless you're really talented athletically and can capture all that information, spit it out in 3 months of the year and forget about it 9 months of the year, you got to be rollerblading. So you got to keep it fresh.
Yeah, I think that was the what Troy mentioned. I think, Angelo, was that conversation 2 years ago and talking with you, and then because he has been on blades quite a bit in the past and used it. I mean, we were back in the 90s and that we were really heavy. Now is when I was going through my certs, going towards Dev Team ETS. We used it huge, and then little after that, we started using some summer skiing at Hood, which that was even a better substitute to do both.
Oh yeah. But the thing is, and that's a good point. If you keep rollerblading after the season, you don't really lose it, right? You don't lose your legs. Then you go to Mount Hood, you can actually have a great vacation instead of, 3 days into the 5-day camp saying, oh, God, I'm, too sore to keep going.
Yeah. Because that snow is hard when you're at Hood. It gets soft by like 10, 11, but boy, it can be rock hard in the morning and salted like crazy. Thank God they have all those skis tuned down in government camp. You can just go get another pair and try them out.
Awesome.
Yeah, all tuned for you, Angela. You don't have to do it every night. You can go down, swap skis, test out all the race skis.
That's a perfect setup for me to not have to do it.
To not have to do it.
I'm good at not doing it.
Well, you just got to get, with your high priced, job now, you should be able to get a Sherpa that's carry your skis, be able to tune them for you, bring them along to events.
High price job. I pay, my jobs all cost me money. Which one are you the one that cost me the most money? and some of them cost me dignity, like this one. No, Billy, I think it's great. I really, we just spent two days at Big Snow. That's a 5-hour drive from here, near Pittsburgh, driving up to the Meadowlands. But the 4 hours we're on snow were really valuable. I've never skied in June before. It's the first time I skied in June. And it was rough. The first couple of runs were like, terrible already again. And then you get the cobwebs blown out and you realize how valuable that couple of hours on snow is. But that's a long drive for me. I mean, if you live in, New Jersey, that's great. But if you're down from Boone, you're not going to go to Big Snow all that often. But rollerblading, it just sounds like can keep those movement patterns in your brain, in your body, in the meantime. I'm curious if you skate during the winter.
I do. And it's kind of like motorcycles for me. I skate during the winter until it starts to, get wet and freeze. Mm-hmm. And then it's just, too dangerous. But I'll say maybe I don't skate for 60 days, something like that, because I'm in Maryland. So we don't have a lot of snow. It snows, it melts. This year we had snow on the ground 4 weeks, which is like the most I ever remember. Mm-hmm. But it really is good for that, Angelo. And like you said, like yesterday and the day before, you went to Big Snow for 4 hours and you got some feedback. So now you can go home and get on your rollerblades, set up your tripod you bought off eBay for $10 with your cell phone and, work on whatever you were working on and see if you're getting better because you can film it every run. And generally we'll do a video, like if we're out there for 2 hours, we'll get warmed up, we'll introduce a skill, and then we'll do some video of what that skill was that day. And so people can see some feedback. We have an iPad mini and we'll set that up once in a while and let people do feedback themselves. When we did the actual rollerblade event at Camelback, we had Steve Cook. Steve Cook, was there and he had his iPad and he would film the people, right? We had 2 people with iPads. He would film me and Steve and they would come through the cones and then we give them immediate feedback, show them the video. And you're not out in the cold. You don't have the wind, you don't have to wait, until lunchtime to review the video or at the bar after the event. It's immediate. And that is really, really powerful. So yeah.
And that's where you were mentioning it's really cool that it's working on their body movements, but also still working on we're looking at skiing pretty much, skiing on skates and can do body analysis. People are having trouble and trying to get both feet to tip and they're still doing the A-frame when we're starting to get into parallel stuff. They can see that instant on there. and start to understand what's going on, just like they would on snow. And that's the key thing. It's for me, when I think of this, and this is because of my Nordic background. I mean, it's Nordic. We were, before I got on blades when I was younger, when I was still doing Nordic heavy track and skate. When I was in high school, and that it was, we had the roller skis that we were cutting some of them down and making them into pretty much skates so we could skate on them.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's probably still some. If I go to my parents' house, they're probably up in the attic where we cut them down and welded them so we could skate on those. But the rollerblades are just awesome for working on your skating. And that's the piece that I think is another piece I'd emphasize, like working with folks on rollerblades, is because the downhill piece and the piece of turning and that, but they got to go back up the hill. They got to skate back up. The van's not taking them to the top. So when they're skating back up, there's a ton of movements and body parts that we're separating through skating. Skating is one of our biggest activities we use for folks on snow to get them to move dynamically. So there's so many avenues, I think, with the rollerblades that they can work on body part awareness and, like you were saying, flexibility type stuff and knowing where their limitations are. It's cool.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, people don't realize that, but, you're going downhill, but you have to skate uphill. And one of the other kind of unknown results of this is when we have people go for, the exam camps or actual exams, when they do skate to ski, the examiner feedback is like, hey, where did you learn to do that? That was really good. And they're like, hey, well, I've been rollerblading. So it just happens naturally. And they might not do anything else, but to have one thing that's like, wow, that's awesome. It gives you encouragement. And then you say, okay, if I can take that, and that's the purpose of the whole skate to shape to short drill, right? It should all be the same. And okay, if I've got these pieces and I can do that drill really well, I should be able to do the other stuff really well. I just need to get there. So it's progress.
Yeah.
Are there some freestyle applications like rail slides and things like that? I go to the skate park and see a lot of kids on skates, but I've never seen like formalized, I'm going to practice this on rollerblades so I can do it in the winter in the terrain park.
Yeah, and that's a good point. When we were talking about skates, what I didn't bring up is if you're just really leery but want to get out there, buy the freestyle skates. Definitely make sure you get the right size. Rollerblade, you can call them, and if you have any questions, they'll answer them for you. But the freestyle skates are a 60 millimeter wheel. So I was saying 80 is ideal, and it's kind of flatter. So when you put on that freestyle skate, the whole bottom of the skate is flat. You just feel like I almost couldn't fall if I tried. Now, it doesn't turn really easily. It doesn't turn hard, but it's harder to turn than a four-wheeled one. But that's what you want if you're in that skate. And you just feel glued to the ground. So if you're really leery but want to get out there and move around a little bit, get a freestyle skate. What I have in the background is something I developed. See that little rail right there, Angelo, on that upper side?
Yeah.
So I designed this, and I call it the Mid-Atlantic Mogul Training Center. So it's part of our skate park. It's in a county park. And if you're going to build something, you want it in a county park because they have the insurance. That's the hardest part. We built this for about $25,000. I work with a guy that built skate parks. So I've got, you can see one bump over there, and then you've got two, and then you've got a rail if you want to try something like that from a freestyle aspect. In the corners, you have a lip, and you can go up as high or as low as you want. And then on the other side, I have 5 moguls. So you can, loop this thing, or just practice 1 foot at a time going over the bump, right? That independent flexion extension. So, you can do lots of things with really not a lot. You can even build, just one little hump or 2 little humps out of wood, right? And just get one leg moving separate from the other one.
Billy,
you can practice.
Is there a website where podcast listeners can see this image that you have on the screen right now?
I can put it on the Rollerblade Skate to Ski site on Facebook.
Cool.
And then people can see it.
Can you describe the dimensions of this? Like how big is that entire structure?
It's less than 5,000 square feet. So it's about 60 by 30 is what it is. 60 feet by 30 feet. So yeah, it's real easy. Those little bumps are, a foot high, maybe.
Perfect.
On rollerblades, when you're starting out, that's enough. And even when you get good, that's enough. I mean, that's as close to mogul skiing as you can get. So we have a bigger track that has some different curves in it. And I might go pick it up. So yeah, here's our skate park. So the one by my head. So you have on the left is the little one I just showed you. And then on the right is the more advanced one. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Those moguls on that track are almost as hard as bumps in the East.
That's true. That's true.
Rock hard, man. That's where we get a tune once in a while.
That's when you put the clay wheels on. You get the clay wheels out so you can feel, it really feels like Eastern skiing.
Hey, Angelo, I think you have enough room in your backyard for that whole park. You got to get the dimensions and add to your little ramp.
I will pave that entire backyard. In fact, I've lobbied to pave that entire backyard, and it's not happening.
You just don't want to. You don't want to mow it, right? I don't mow the grass.
Yes, I do not want to mow. Yeah, I think mowing is a complete waste of every available resource. But man, can you imagine? And you can, you can consult with the county stormwater drainage people, so you do it responsibly.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm hoping people who have never tried rollerblades or inline skates years ago, I hope they get on them, because this is definitely, as you say, Billy, an avenue for them to keep skiing during the summer, to keep those movements going, to improve their movements, and build their tech information, do some MA stuff. It is easier in the summer. It's just getting the body movement. When I was on my blades, it was you definitely notice things even at that slower speed. And I think it's in tune, the length of the blade, because your wheelbase isn't there. You don't have that ski to lever on. You've got to balance more through the body. And there's definitely a different feel. I shouldn't say different. There's a feel that you don't want to just dive inside. You have to move along. I felt a lot with the speed you're going at, and you have to move to balance against that, versus on my skis, you can lay inside, especially if we're on that slalom ski, and just, it'll come back to me. Even if I'm stuck on the inside ski, you get stuck on the inside skate. It's like, okay, I might be touching some black asphalt.
Concrete is a great teacher.
Yeah. But I don't think people should be afraid of that though. Cause if you pick the right spots, you pick, when you start and get on something flat, like you were saying, you can set some cones up in the parking lot, and just, you can skate for speed and then use that to go through and get 15, 20 turns, and build it up so that we get that. So when they get to the hill, because I imagine that's what happens at the skate to ski program. It's probably a nice flat spot that everyone starts out on that we work with. Yes.
Absolutely. In fact, we bring, like that artificial turf. Yeah. We bring one of those grass carpets to roll out, or a rubber mat, because you don't want anyone rolling when they're starting out. You want them to be able to walk around and feel the balance points. So yeah, we start very slow and gradually then work to the flat spot, and then, have some pitch going downhill. And we'll have, we do race, so one day generally is skate to ski, learn to use rollerblades for improvement. And then the second day is like a practice day, or for the race kids. So we'll have longer and more difficult courses set up.
Next, I think some people, they'll see some of the videos and that on the Skate to Ski and on the Rollerblade website. And if they go to your YouTube site has some, are all those, I don't know if all of those are on the Rollerblade site, but you have some great videos of inlines of some skating on your YouTube site.
Yeah. Just go to Billy Shreve on YouTube. Shreve is like Shreveport, Louisiana, Shreve. And I have sections set up for, rollerblading, mogul skiing, all that kind of stuff. So great stuff there for sure.
Yeah, because sometimes they see some of the race kids and see some of our world class athletes, some of the videos on there, and they go, "Oh my God, I'm not sure I want to try that." But it starts out, and they can start out with the program pretty easy, and I think they should, not be scared away because of those, because this is a great avenue for folks to really do something in the summer, especially if they can't get the big snow or something like that. And this is something they could do every weekend. Where I doubt Angela's going to be heading down to big snow every weekend.
Maybe I am now.
Oh, maybe he is now.
I won't have to if I get skates.
That's right.
Hey, Billy, will you talk for a second about pole length? Because your height over the snow is going to be a little different than if you were on your skis, I would imagine, right? So I know you use adjustable poles, but curious about that. And do you put like some sort of tip, like some sort of padding on the tip of your poles?
Yeah, great question. So I use poles because I had this weird thing, and sometimes I still do it, where my left hand would come across my chest, just like I'm doing now. And I didn't realize it was just some kind of weird tick, right? So I started using poles, just getting my hands in the right position, right? And then I started thinking about everything you just asked about. Okay, what's the right pole length? So it made me really think about what's the right pole length. And on my rollerblades, I don't even know. I just want my hands below my elbows. So I'm probably like 42 on snow and probably 40. Yeah. No, it'd be a little longer on rollerblades because I'm a little higher, or probably about the same. I don't really know the pole length, but you just want I want my hands a little bit below my elbows is what I want. And so then what we do is you can use your ski poles. Again, you're just holding them, you're not really pole touching. And put a piece of garden hose over them, an old piece of garden hose, and cut it off. You can do that. You can tape it. You can use a tennis ball, or like Lakey makes an actual rubber ski tip. And I use rubber ski tips. Now, the great thing, this is another, discovered thing with rollerblading, is you can do pole touches. We don't do them because we want to focus purely on our feet and isolate those movements. But to teach someone to do a pole touch on rollerblades is actually a lot easier than doing it on skis. And the reason why is because every parking lot you have has a center line between the parking spaces. So you can use that and go across it and just touch on the center line. Or to start out, not worrying about what side is what, you can just go down the parking spaces, right? And every line touch with the opposite hand. So you can also use those parking spaces for flexion and extension. And you feel it, right? It's intrinsic feedback. So every time you hit a line, you should be either tall or small. You should change direction. So, and if you have a little bit of pitch to it, that changes, right? So as you get going faster, you have to flex and extend faster. So parking lots are great teachers and really great for teaching a pole touch.
Well, this has been awesome. Really cool to put this info out there. I'm hoping folks get out there, get some blades, or go to one of the skate to ski to be able to try it. And then that way, because we have listeners that are PSA Aussie members and non-members. So, our PSA Aussie members, if they're looking to get skates, can definitely do it through through our national website, because it's a pro offer on there. And then there is on the Rollerblade website, folks that aren't members, is there that gives them kind of where the dealers are and where they can go to get them, right, Billy?
Yeah, there's lots of great information on the Rollerblade Skate to Ski site. There's also an app you can download for Skate to Ski. Rollerblade developed this program because they do a lot of race academies in the summer. And, they didn't define how to start skating, but they created like a 4-phase program. So if you're a skier and you haven't been on rollerblades, be careful, because they do like pole jumpers and stuff like that. Yeah. Not a good idea unless you're really good on rollerblades to try to get them off the asphalt. Usually it doesn't end well.
Yeah, that's something when we get together, like Angela and myself, Erickson, we'll start daring each other and see who can get who to crash first, right?
I'm winning that. I'm winning that crash contest.
Well, that brings me back to this photo. So, before we wrap up, there's a great story behind this. you want to tell the story, Angelo, or do you want me to tell it?
I'll tell it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this too. Like, this shit happens to me all the time. Hey, look how stupid you are, and I'm coordinated. I'm at National Academy, and there's Nick Heron. I haven't seen it how long, right? Because we're all locked down. Nick rolls up and pulls out his phone and shows me another picture of me on the ground doing something. Hey, remember when you did this? Yeah. Thanks. Yep. That picture right there. Hey, Billy, in my defense.
This one right here.
That one right there. In this my one. Defense. You want to put this on the Skate to Ski Facebook page too? So all the podcast people can see it? You may. Go ahead. I don't care. But hey, Billy, in my defense, it was a lot steeper than that picture looks, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can see the snow line against the mountains in the backdrop.
Yeah.
It's pretty steep.
It's pretty. So anyway, here's the story. And then it comes back. Terry Barber's involved with this. Comes back to Terry, right? We're at National Academy 2019. And I don't know what was going on. It was an afternoon. It was beautiful. And all the groups were just kind of ripping around. And we ran into, I was with Jeb Boyd, and we ran into Matt Boyd's group. And Terry was with Matt. And we see those guys at the bottom of the lift, and Terry's face is all bloody. And we're like, what happened? And I fell, I don't know what happened to him. Anyways, face. So we're kind of laughing. And then, like 10 minutes later, Karma, we get off the lift. I'm following Terry, and it's pretty steep pitch. He goes around this pine tree. And so I follow him, which apparently is not a good idea. And right on the other side of this pine tree, there was a rope up that the patrol had put up. It was like tied to some bamboos, right? But it was super low. I don't know if they got snow and it underfilled the rope, or if the rope had like slid down on the poles, whatever. The rope's like 4 or 6 inches off the snow. So I'm right behind Terry, and we're ripping around this pine tree, and Terry, like a cat, right? This is why Terry's national team alumni, and I'm not. Terry jumps over this rope, and he probably forgot about it before it happened, right? I thought I jumped over the rope. One of my skis cleared the rope. And then the other one didn't, right? So now I've got this rope around my boot. I didn't know. And all I can imagine now is those bamboos going ding, ding, ding behind me, popping out of the ground as my foot is now pulling this rope down the hill. Well, all of a sudden, I ran out of slack, right? So I'm like hogtied on this hill, and and I'm hanging upside down, and it's pretty steep, and I can't reach it, and it's so tight I can't reach it to unwrap my foot. So apparently what happened is one of those guys is Italian, right? No, not me. And there's like an actual Italian. And then it's like the Rollerblade crew, right? Coming to my rescue. Is that what happened? Saved my ass. Right? I'd still be hanging there. Hanging there in Montana. But then, so it took them a while. I was grateful.
Yeah.
The next
So
because that was a Big Sky, right?
This is a Big Sky, but the next
I had to wear the hat because I knew that. I didn't know it was going to happen, but I got the Big Sky on, and it happened to Big Sky. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I walk into breakfast the next morning, right? And I walked in, and Troy was sitting at a table by himself, Walsh, and I see him. We make eye contact, and he's got this shit-eating grin, like ear to ear. I'm like, oh no. And he like perks up when he sees me, and he's like, hey, and he's like waving me over. He's like, come take your medicine. I sat down, and he wanted to hear the story. And then Frank Cartwright sat down, and we're talking about it. And Frank goes, oh my God, was that you? I was on the chair. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
it's forever,
Yeah.
forever.
So, from my perspective, and this could be its own segment at some point, Angelo is following Terry. They take off like a bat out of hell. Like, I'm way behind him, right? Thankfully. So Angelo does. He goes to jump over this rope following Terry and catches it. And I'm like, shit, what's going to happen? And sure enough, what happens when he runs out of rope, this thing is somehow wrapped around his ski boot like a couple times. And then he swings like a pendulum down the hill, like in an arc, because this rope is, swinging him like a pendulum. And he stops. And I think I was like one of the first people to get there because I was out skiing with the rollerblade guys. And I'm like, Angela, are you okay? And he's kind of pissed off. He's like, yeah, I'm okay. And he goes, you're going to take a picture, aren't you? And I said, absolutely. So, yeah. So who saved him is the guy in the orange is the president of Rollerblade from Italy. Miles is in the green helmet. Miles is the Rollerblade representative and skate to ski liaison. And Miles is from Vermont. So good Vermonter, man. He's got a knife. We literally had to cut the rope off his ski boot. It was that well wrapped around his boot. So I'm just glad he's okay because it looked ugly. And he's right. The little bamboo poles were popping up. It was like a cartoon. I've never seen anything like it. Hopefully never see anything like it again. But
that's what happens when you follow Terry Barber, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, and hopefully we'll do some more in the future, and maybe actually right from we'll maybe do a recording live or something right from one of the skate to ski programs. Yeah. Maybe we do it down at Seven Springs. But thanks for jumping on with us, Billy. And I know there's probably going to be questions, and they might send them to us on our Facebook and YouTube. But if we can't answer them, we'll ship them to you. But hopefully, folks have got some good info on Rollerblade, and hopefully they'll get out and get on them and join the program.
Yeah, great show, guys. Thanks for having me on. And I want to thank Rollerblade for all their support and their partnership with PSIA. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate everything you're doing.
Good seeing you, Billy.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. This is The Fall Line with KS and Company.